Well, hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Hyperion Adventures Podcast. I'm Tom. As always, I'm with my gorgeous, wonderful, hard-working, playing hurt today wife and co-host, Michelle.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, sweetie.
If you hear a little nasaliness from both of us, but especially from Michelle, we've both been going through a little bit of an illness this week. Unfortunately, I think I got it first. And, being the doting husband that I am, I had to share it with Michelle. And unfortunately, she's been dealing with it over the last couple of days. But she has sucked it up like the trooper she is. And she is here to bring us another episode today.
Well, thank you. And traveling is always so fun. Like you talk about in the past, you get dehydrated and allergies and everything that goes on in life and being tired out. But hey, we're here.
We're here. We made it. We're on the air for you, and we cannot wait to bring you another show today. Thank you for joining us today. We are recording this episode on Sunday, August 8th. 2021. In the future, you can find us most everywhere you get podcasts. However, the very best place to find us is on our own website, HyperionAdventuresPodcast.com. And while you're there,
you'll have an opportunity to sign up for our newsletter if you haven't done that already.
Yes.
Thanks to those who have.
Yes, we had a couple new people signing up for it this week, and we appreciate everybody who's signed up either this week, in the past, in the future, whatever. It's just another way to be involved in the Hyperion Adventures podcast world.
Right. And we don't share that email with anybody. It's just our opportunity to send you things, send you a newsletter during the week. We don't, like you said, we don't clog emails.
Yeah, just once per week. And we just send you what's going on with us, whether it be links to some of our sites, whether it be future shows, past shows, looking for input, which we got a little bit of this week as well from the newsletter. It's just a way, like I said before, to be involved more in the Hyperion Adventures podcast world. Another way to do that is to follow us on social media. Please check us out on Twitter. We're at Hyperion Podcast on Twitter. On Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, we are at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. We do have a great little fun Hyperion Adventurers Facebook group that we hope you'll join in on the fun with as well. You just need to do a search for the Hyperion Adventurers Facebook group and join up there. We don't have any, membership requirements. That's a good word for it. Other than that, we just want you to be positive. It's just a positive Disney fun account, and we just want you to be involved in that.
Right. It's a great way that everybody can interact together and share some tips that they have as well, and share some fun stories of things that they've done, plans for the future. It's just a really great group.
Yeah, just to share your Hyperion adventures with all of us. We are also on YouTube, mostly putting out these episodes in somewhat of a video form. If you want to find us there, just do a quick search for Hyperion Adventures Podcast, hit subscribe, and you'll know whenever we have a new video. And if you ever want to contact us for any reason, please hit us up at our Gmail account, HyperionAdventuresPodcast@gmail.com.
That's right. That's another way that you can provide us some feedback, or if you have questions, ideas that you want us to research or whatever, questions about upcoming plans that we can help with, we're just glad to interact with you.
Yep. We love interaction in any way, shape, or form, whether it be on the social media channels, whether it be through email, whether it be through the newsletter, whatever. We just love interacting with you. Another way you can really be involved with us is to join our Patreon membership group. You can find that at patreon.com/Hyperion Adventures Podcast. And we do have a new member this week, a new member to shout out this week. That is Hyperion Adventurer Holly. Thank you for joining us this week. She joined at the Explorer level. So Holly, you can look forward to, we will have a new Disney Dishes blog recipe of the month coming to you very, very soon, along with everybody else that is at that Explorer level or above.
Yeah, you all are wonderful, and we really appreciate it. And again, we love, just being this great big family.
Yeah, we really appreciate your help and help and support this group, and we look forward to giving you some more swag and a lot of good fun stuff through the Patreon account as well. Now, let's move on to a subject we skipped over last week, but we're back with it this week, and that is my favorite thing from this week. Michelle, will kick us off. Michelle, what is your favorite thing from this week?
My favorite thing from this week is that our son rejoined us this week. And, he does spend time with his father in Florida. And now he's back with us, and we're super happy about that.
Yeah, he's sitting right across the room right now.
I know.
You may hear him in the background occasionally throughout this show. He's just kind of listening in. But it's so good to have him back with us here in town.
He's our live audience.
That's for sure. Live in front of a studio audience of one. Yes. So good. That's a great choice. That's a good one. I should have picked that one.
Thank you.
Mine this week was actually, and it's kind of a reference to something I did a couple weeks ago. It was great again to see new guests aboard yet another Disney ship this week. The Disney Dream finally started sailing with guests aboard once again. Congratulations to those of you who were able to sail aboard the Dream. We are so excited that Disney Cruise Line is finally starting to get in motion again and get these cruises going. And I can't wait till we get the chance to sail again coming up this December.
Right. And I was already researching some more. You always just keep going back and what it's new and everything. And I think we have an episode coming up soon to talk about some of the new things going on in Disney Cruise.
Yeah, we're just waiting to hear about the relaunch of some of the other ships. The Dream is going now. Of course, the Magic is still doing the staycations out of the United Kingdom. We're just waiting to see when the official start dates will be for the Fantasy and for the Wonder as well. But that's all exciting news. Now, we also did receive one from one of our members of our newsletter who interacts with us often here. He wanted to chime in with his favorite thing from this week, and that is Tony the Disney Dad, one of our favorites. Yeah.
Oh, he's awesome.
Yes. He said, "Hey, Tom and Michelle, I wanted to share my favorite thing from this week. I received my 1-year service award from Disney. Congratulations, Tony. That is amazing news." He says, it's a really cool Steamboat Willie pin. He posted it on social media if you want to look him up. It's a really great pin. He said, "I know 1 year isn't a huge thing, but I never thought I'd work for the company that Walt and Roy created. It's been an interesting year, and this new job and this pin is a highlight." He said, "I hope you're having a better week. Thank you, Tony.
Yes.
Love, hugs, and prayers are being sent from us to you, Tony."
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great news, Tony. We're so excited for you. We were thrilled, although we missed your podcast.
Yes.
We were thrilled when you got the job at Disney. That is fantastic, and so glad to know that your year one went really well for you, and that is a fun accomplishment. That first year done in the books.
Definitely, and that like you said, honey. Tony did post it on social media. It's cute, and again, it just represents so much, and we're so happy for you, Tony.
Yes. Congratulations again, Tony. That's great stuff. So let's get to this week's episode. We have lots of stuff for you this week, including we received details of Disneyland's replacement annual pass program. We'll go through those with you. It's another week, so of course we have more Disneyland dining options that are returning. We'll tell you about a few of those. And we learned a lot more about the new Star Wars themed hotel coming to the Walt Disney World Resort. Some interesting stuff. Yeah. Some stuff that really freaked the social media channels out. Of course, we'll talk a lot about that. But let's get to our main topic of the week. So this week we decided, after a couple weeks ago, it was important for us to keep Michelle's mother's memory involved in what we're doing with this show as often as we possibly can. And Michelle came up with a great idea for what this week's episode would be all about. Michelle, please share it with the listeners what this week's show is all about.
Thanks, honey. So it's about Disney role models, and I looked at my mom, and people who knew her and were close to her definitely saw her as a role model. And, looking at like the definition of a role model, it's generally speaking, it's somebody others look to as a good example, or, somebody who models something inspirational. And so my mother always was inspirational to me, but she was also just such a warm, loving person. And being a mom was her most important thing that she had the most pride in. And I think she did a marvelous job. And so I just thought, in her honor, let's look at some of the Disney role models.
Yes. So we're going to be counting down our 5 favorite Disney role models in honor of Michelle's mother this week. So yeah, this should be a fun list. There are so many great ones. It was tougher to narrow down than I thought it was going to be. When I first got it, I'm like, oh, this is going to be easy. Well, this always seems to happen every single week. I'm like, this is going to be an easy list. It's going to take me no time at all. And then I kept adding, kicking ones off, wishing that, this one could be on my list or whatever. But I did narrow it down to 5. I don't know if Michelle narrowed it down to 5, but
close.
We'll see. Anyway, let's get to it. And whenever we do these lists, we always start with Michelle. One, because she's wonderful, awesome, amazing. She has the best research. She has the best tips, but she definitely has the best list. So let's get to it. Here is Michelle's number 5 favorite Disney role model.
Okay, here's my number 5. I don't think this one's on your list. But my number 5 is Annie McLean. And actually, she is from the movie The Horse Whisperer. She was the mom that was also like a magazine editor. And if you haven't seen the film, it's about a girl, I think she was like a tween, who was into riding horses. And there was a terrible accident her and one of her best friends were involved in. And it really impacted this girl, and the mom recognized the importance of how do we get her, as you say, get back on the horse. How do you do that? And how do you deal with the horse that also survived? And so what this mom did that, she just totally converted and devoted her life to what her daughter needed, and really did a lot of amazing things to that. I thought was very inspirational.
Yeah. That's a great choice. I know that's one of your favorite films. You love that movie. And not surprising right at the bat. Again, Michelle, my list will be straightforward. Michelle's list already a curveball at number 5, something that probably none of you expected, but that's why Michelle's lists are always the best lists. So that's a great choice.
Oh, thank you. So what about your number 5?
My number 5 is exactly what you'd expect because as we all know, hashtag real men love Frozen. So yes, my number 5 is going to be Anna from Frozen 2, all the Frozen shorts, because you should see Michelle's face right now. Look, the thing with Anna is that over and over again, she shows that she's willing to sacrifice herself, not only for her sister, but also for the people of Arendelle.
That is true.
She was willing to do things that maybe don't put her exactly in her comfort zone. After all, she was locked away behind the gates of the palace for so long, and it's got to be a big leap forward to take all these steps, but she's always willing to do it for her family and later on, well, even in the beginning, but definitely later on in Frozen 2, for the people of Arendelle when needed. I mean, even when in Frozen 2, she feels like she's at the lowest point she's ever been. She gets up, moves forward, realizes what she has to do and gets the job done to save the people of Arendelle.
Right. I totally agree with you. I was just kind of joking around with you. I was very glad you didn't say her parents, especially her father.
If you know me, that will never be the case.
But I agree with you on that one. It's a great choice. She definitely does show that, she's selfless and strong, and, she definitely shows love and affection, and that's a great choice.
Yeah, quirky, yes, but when you really get down to her character, she is an amazing role model for women and for men out there everywhere, in my opinion. So that's my number 5 favorite Disney role model. Let's get to the real list again. Here's Michelle's number 4 favorite Disney role model.
So my number 4, and you might have this one on your list, it's Moana's grandmother. I felt like, she really instilled...
But she's the village crazy lady.
She just makes that role so she can get away with things. I love that, But yeah, she really encouraged Moana to really go after her adventure and, show that she had an important role. She was very much... demonstrating the importance of their culture and what that meant to the people there, and in a way she kind of sacrificed herself there to allow Moana a way to, kind of push her in the direction that she needed to go to, and yet she was still somebody Moana, whether you say it was real or in her mind, cling to when she was at a low end of her struggles, that she saw her grandmother as somebody who was inspirational to her.
It's a really great point, and it probably should have been on my list. It didn't make my list, but she probably should have, and especially if, like you said, whether she was really there or whether it was all in Moana's mind, that the I am Moana moment,
Right.
just the thought of her grandmother, and what she taught her at that moment to lift her back up
Right.
and to be to get her to that I am Moana moment,
Right.
was perfect. That is the epitome of being a role model.
Yeah.
The fact that you based it on her. So that is a great choice. And like I said, probably should have been on my list. You know what? I'm adding it. That's 5.
There you go. There
Thanks,
you
Michelle.
go.
Nice job.
Okay, so you're number 4 now.
My number 4 is going to the Lion King, and that is Mufasa.
Ooh.
Yeah. Mufasa, honestly, unfortunately, his term in this film is really short-lived.
Right.
Literally. But in that time, he teaches so many lessons
Right.
to Simba. Being stern when he has to
Right.
be. Being loving when he has to be, all the time being compassionate to his son and teaching him life lessons in the short time he had with him, life lessons that even when things got really difficult, Simba remembers later on,
Right.
and remembers that, he needs to be who he has to be, which is the king of the Pride Lands.
Right,
And that
right.
is all in that short amount of time that Mufasa showed him. He's really, really such a spectacular father.
Right. I totally agree with you. I have him actually as my 3A. And again, I think what you said was all true. He had so many layers to him. He was also funny. He was playful with Mufasa, with Simba as well. And like you said too, I think that's also a good sign of a role model, that even when they're not there, let me not cry. Even when they're not there, their inspiration comes through.
Agreed. That's definitely the case. We're talking about Moana's grandmother, same thing as well. But, Mufasa, one of the things is that he got very angry with Simba, and let him know he was angry
Right.
with him, and yet turns around the next moment and shows him love and shows, I'm here to support you. I'm here to teach you new things.
Right.
And just because I was angry at that moment doesn't mean I don't love you.
Right. And he also showed, even though he had, he wasn't in agreement with his brother, he didn't disband him or
Right.
disown him. He, tried to work with him and things. So, definitely a great choice.
Yep. King of the Pride Lands.
Lands.
And a great father and a great role model, Mufasa. So that is my number 4, Michelle's number 3A. Let's get to Michelle's number 3B favorite Disney role model.
All right. This one has gone on the list, off the list. It's back on the list. It's, and I hope I say it right, Eglantine Price. I bet you don't know who she is, but you do know who she is.
Okay. Oh, I know who she is.
You do?
I do.
Okay, so she was played by Angela Lansbury in Bed Knobs and Broomsticks.
Took me a second, but I remember who she is. Yeah.
And I just felt like she was an inspiration. First of all, not by choice. She ended up kind of being a foster parent to 3 kids who weren't really looking to be parented to begin with. And she was a great role model to them. She recognized, even when, one of them was going through some self-doubt and everything, how she tried to, really point that out as a way to, recognize it and get through it. And the other thing was her, her love of her country and, the extraordinary ways that she felt the need to, participate in what would be something to make it better, and so I don't think she was the type of character who thought of herself as a role model or wanted to be a role model, but I think she really was that.
It's a great choice. I haven't seen Bed Knobs and Broomsticks in a while, but although you put it on in the evenings, as I'm snoozing away, I will catch a split second of it, but I haven't really been able to sit through it in a long time. But I think that's a great choice, and it is a great kind of underrated movie in my opinion.
Yeah,
so definitely check it out. It's on Disney Plus. Check it out sometime. If you like Mary Poppins, you might like Bed Knobs and Broomsticks.
True,
kind of a different but similar.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Good comparison.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're at your number 3.
My number 3 is going to The Princess and the Frog, and that is Tiana.
Yeah.
I think Tiana is a spectacular role model for everybody out there. And this is also kind of a tribute to her father, who instilled it within her as well. Unfortunately, he leaves that film way too early on in his life, but he instilled a really strong work ethic within Tiana that she expresses throughout it. And she knew that from this that, not everything is handed to you in life. And she worked hard to try and make sure that she got to her goal. And even when there were other hurdles thrown her way, for no real good reason, she kept working. She kept working towards her dream and eventually accomplished it, that dream of getting Tiana's Place, her own restaurant. And yet still loving her mother, loving her family. Being a wonderful, hard-working person. I think Tiana is a spectacular role model.
I agree. I had her on my list. I actually had her father on my list too at one point. But then I knew you were going to have her on there, so I figured it was a safe bet for that. But I agree with you. And she was also inspirational to the prince, and got him to see a different side of life and enjoy life in a much more deeper way. And that I don't think he would have without her inspiration.
Yeah, agreed. So Tiana is my number 3. Let's get to Michelle's number 2 favorite Disney role model.
All right. So I have a 2A and 2B.
Okay.
But I think this is the last one that I have double up. But this one, kind of both for the same reason, and the word that comes to mind is love for both of these characters. But so 2A, I have Goofy, from the Goofy movie. He wasn't necessarily showing that he was the smartest tool in the shed, but he definitely was a role model to Max. He did try to teach him things that were important in life that, may not have been, again, with education, although he did see education as important. But what he was trying to instill with Max was more the commitment to family, love, and, just being a good person, and I thought he did an amazing job on that. And similarly, my 2B is Baymax.
Wow.
And I just felt same kind of thing. Love, commitment to family. But Baymax was also very committed to also being selfless and wanting to help others. And yes, that was programmed, but you could see that went beyond that. And where he had to make a choice, he even made a very selfless choice. So I kind of couldn't decide between the two of them, and I thought they both kind of had some similarities in where their inspirations were for people.
Yeah, another great couple of choices there. Goofy, a long time been our 5 favorite. Actually, I think when we started it off, it was our 10 favorite Disney dads list as our number 1 favorite Disney dad. So obviously he's a great role model. Does he make mistakes? Yeah, but who doesn't? Obviously he made mistakes in not talking to his son in a Goofy movie, not talking to Max, and Max not talking to his father and getting that through. But still, you're right. He's putting in, just great ideas into Max's head and how to live your life and be a better person and be a better adult. And I think that's good.
And sometimes for somebody to be inspirational, they also have to see and recognize where their faults are and make a decision to improve. And I think that's what Goofy did, like you said, with the issue of communication or listening to Max. He came to the realization he was just trying to spearhead everything in his direction, and he saw that he needed to really get a better understanding of Max.
Yeah. It's really good. And I also love, I just love Baymax.
I know.
Like you can give me Baymax every day, and I'm happy to have him on any list that we have. So speaking of that, somebody who was on my honorable mention list is, as a great role model, was actually Tadashi Hamada, which was Hero's brother within Big Hero 6, that I feel really planted some great ideas within, Hero's head. He was struggling because Hero, since their parents passed away, was kind of rebelling against a lot of things, even though he was a super, super smart individual.
Right.
But, Tadashi was there to kind of take over that role and help lead him and show him how, you can use your mind in a better way. And I think that moved on forward throughout that film of Hero, and Baymax kind of took over a lot of Tadashi's, personality in many ways, because he built Baymax, and that kind of helped also inspire Hero through that role model situation.
Right. Well, and then Baymax showing Hero his evolution of building Baymax and what he went through. And again, I think that, like you're saying, also helped inspire Hero to see more than just the product, but some of the journey.
For sure. So great choices. Michelle's list, always the best list. My number 2 technically kind of has a 2A and 2B as well, although they both play a similar character, and that is Captain America. I'm going with both Steve Rogers and Sam Wilson as great role models, because they both consistently do the right thing. They're trustworthy, they're honorable, they're very loyal. Steve is the one super soldier that never let his power overtake his heart.
Right.
And, the same as, Sam is not a super soldier.
Right.
But he's arguably equally as strong at heart as Steve ever was. They were great friends. And, bottom line between the two of them, they will always fight for what they believe is right. I think that they both, for similar but different reasons, are spectacular role models for everybody out there.
I totally agree with you on that. Great choices. I mean, both of them could have been perceived by outsiders at one point, like especially Steve at the beginning, before he became Captain America. Both of them could have been perceived as weak or not living up to something, and both of them overcame that. Whether you call it a stereotype or whatever, both of them really pushed beyond the limitations that some people may have imposed on them.
Right. Agreed. So I love both Captain Americas. They're my favorite Marvel characters, and I'm thrilled to put them on this list at my number 2 spot.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Great choices. For sure.
Thank you. So let's get really to it now, though. We are at the top of the best list. Michelle's number 1 favorite Disney role model. Who could it be, Michelle? Let us know.
Wow. And I wouldn't be shocked if this is also on yours.
Okay.
Kala, Tarzan's mother.
Oh, that's a good one.
I just again, and not to try to make all of these be parental, but I just felt like, even if you don't look at her as a parent, just the fact that, again, she was sharing the belief that don't just look at the outside appearance of somebody, look at the inside and appreciate everybody around you for what they have and what they are, and be encouraging to people. So.
Yeah. That's a great choice. It didn't make my list, but
kind of thought it would.
Yeah, that is a phenomenal choice, just for the reasons that you said. So I love it. And Michelle's list, always the best list, for sure. My number 1, very predictable. If you've listened to me on this show, if you've heard me on the Jedi Temple Archives podcast by any sense, you know that I believe that there is one real hero in Star Wars, and they are the epitome of a great role model within Star Wars. Some of you may think it's Luke Skywalker is the hero of Star Wars. He definitely is a hero in Star Wars. not the hero of Star Wars. You're going to say Obi-Wan. I love Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan may be my favorite character. However, is he the hero of Star Wars? Maybe, maybe not. Yoda? Nah. My impression of who is the biggest hero in Star Wars is Princess, Senator, General Leia Organa.
That's a good one. Yeah, yeah.
And she is such a fantastic role model. She, over and over again, she put her happiness, her life.
Right.
I mean, she was, adopted into this family that where she was royalty. She could have just sat back and enjoyed being a royal on Alderaan. Well, at least for some of the time, about 18, 20 years or so. But she stepped forward through civil service in many different ways to be sure that her planet, her friends, her galaxy were defended for the right things. She, like I said, she was the princess for her planet, helped her people.
Right.
She was a senator. She fought corruption, or at least she was trying to fight corruption through the government. She was a rebel and a resistance general who went and fought on the battlefront.
Right.
Not just of course, in the Senate chambers, but then right at the front line for people, leading her people. Take all those things put together, and that just, to me, makes a spectacular role model.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That's a great one. Yeah, somebody who, against all odds, is still willing to persevere and do what they feel is definitely right.
Right, especially when you could have had an easy life.
Yes.
But she, time and time again, when, there were portions where she could have okay, good enough. I'm going to step back and let everybody else take this. She kept going to the front and leading and leading and leading in so many different ways. And I think that is important. She's a leader. She's a role model. And she's spectacular.
Agreed.
Again, the hero of Star Wars, in my personal opinion.
Very good. Very good choice. I agree.
Thank you.
Did you have some honorable mentions?
I do, but let's hear yours first, because yours will definitely be more interesting than mine.
I don't know about that. And maybe not in any particular order, I did think Pocahontas was inspirational in a lot of regards. Again, somebody who put, her people first and, was willing to go into the adventure to make things better. I thought Wally is inspirational.
I agree. Wally was one of my honorable mentions for sure. I think Wally is the love he has in his heart.
Right.
Right. He doesn't really even have a heart, technically, but he has the biggest heart maybe of anybody.
Exactly. But he, when you look at, he was very inspirational, or just the way he connected with people all around him, everywhere he went, And the other one I thought was inspirational is Herman Boone, who was the coach and dad on Remember the Titans.
Yeah. That's a good choice.
Yeah. I mean, and he was on my list and off my list from time to time too. He was definitely inspirational to the team, to his daughter. I just felt like he was definitely strong in that regard.
Terrific. Great group.
Thank you.
And I have a few others as well.
Okay.
But before I get to them, I realized I should have gotten to the listeners first.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
That's okay. So let me get to some of our listeners first, and I'll get through anything that they don't mention for the rest of them. So start with, we got an email from Scott in Minnesota who had a list. He said, "Hey, Tom and Michelle, here are my top 5 favorite Disney role models. First one is from one of my favorite movies growing up, and that's Robin Hood, for taking care of the less fortunate and oppressed, and with style."
That's true.
Yes, definitely. Number 4, he agrees with me. Princess/Queen Anna became nothing more important, because he says because nothing is more important than family, and #RealMenLoveFrozen. Absolutely, Scott. Number 3 is Luke Skywalker, who showed us that sometimes you just have to give in to a higher power.
Right.
Number 2, Captain America, who taught us to always do the right thing no matter how hard it is.
Yeah.
And his number 1 was Peter Pan, as a reminder to keep a outlook on life. I don't know if Peter Pan is a great role model in my book, but I do like the idea of childlike outlook on life. That definitely. I will agree with for sure.
Yeah. Good list.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Very good list. So he said, I went on to say, I can't wait for my trip next month. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that my family gets picked for the DVC Ratatouille preview that you shared in the Facebook group. And we did share that. And we also got a preview through the pass holder. We could have done it for DVC too, but we're hoping to be able to do that at the end of September. And Scott, I did forward you the email. I hope you got through it. I hope you got your DVC Ratatouille preview as well. But thanks. That's Scott in Minnesota.
Nice. And good list. And for people who want to participate in things like this, joining our newsletter is a way that you can know ahead of time to send in your list.
Yep. That's one way we always reach out to people with so many options to help give us input into the show. Another way is on social media, and that's where the next couple came from. First one is from Adam at the Mouse and More podcast. You can find him on Twitter at the Mouse and More. He said number 5 is Fairy Godmother.
Oh, yeah.
Number 4 is John Progress from the Carousel of Progress.
Love it.
Yeah, that's a great one. Number 3 is Mrs. Darling.
Oh,
from
sure.
Peter Pan.
Yep.
Number 2 is Mufasa.
Nice.
One that was on our list. And number 1 was Carl Fredricksen, which I love too.
Yes.
Wasn't the best role model to begin with, a little bit of a curmudgeon, but at the end, totally great role model.
Yes. Again, somebody who wasn't on their radar to be a role model, but definitely took on that task and did it so well.
Right, for sure. So that's a great choice. And Tony the Disney Dad chimed in once again with us. You can find him on Twitter at Disney_discuss. And his number 5 which was one of my honorable mentions, is Mary Poppins.
Yeah, I thought about her too.
Yeah.
Yep.
He says lots of fun, but always gets the job done.
Right.
So I agree with that. His number 4 was Obi-Wan Kenobi for being patient, wise, and has a certain point of view of life. Yes, he does. That's maybe why I relate to Obi-Wan Kenobi, is because I live my life through a certain point of view that maybe not everybody necessarily sees the same way as me. Number 3, making a second appearance on our listener list, John Progress from the Carousel of Progress.
I like it. I love it.
He says, has a love of technology and family. Yeah, for sure. His number 2, and I love this choice, is Kermit the Frog, who always sees the best in people.
That's
Agreed.
true.
I
That's
love
a good
Kermit,
choice.
for sure.
Yeah.
And his number 1, and shouldn't this really be all our number 1s? Walt Disney.
True. Oh my God. Yes.
Yes. Big dreams and never gave up is what he said.
Right.
Thank you, Tony. A great list. So
also somebody who would get back up after having some issues
for
or
sure.
failures.
For sure. So many, and Disneyland, popped up because of the love of his daughters and supporting them.
True.
These theme parks wouldn't exist if it weren't for, him wanting to be able to find great places for parents to hang out with their children, and all have a good time. So great stuff. So a couple more honorable mentions that I had. First is going to be Moana, of course.
Sure.
Because we mentioned her a little bit earlier and, in passing when we were talking about her grandmother. But she did such a great job of taking things and moving the way you feel you should, following your heart essentially to get things accomplished. Even when some things are going against you, people are telling you maybe you shouldn't do that. Follow your heart, do what you think is right, and in the end, more often than not, you're going to find the happy ending you're looking for.
Good point.
Another one, similar thing, is Flick from Bug's Life.
Oh yeah.
I think Flick is a fantastic role model. A little quirky. Maybe kind of does things wrong sometimes, but he always has his heart in the right place, trying to help his people, trying to cut their workload, make things better. And in the end, he does what's right and inspires his group to rise up against those grasshoppers.
That's true.
And my final one is Mulan, who, maybe doesn't do necessarily the right things to begin with, but when it's all said and done, she steps up, and leads people, even when everyone, again, is telling her she shouldn't be that. She's a woman in China who shouldn't be taking this role on. You are, really nothing to us, but she is the leader. She leads her people and does a fantastic job. So
good choice.
So that's our list and some of our listeners' lists of our 5 favorite Disney role models. We'd still love to hear yours. Send them to us hit us up on social media, send us to our Gmail account, and we will share what your list is up in an upcoming show.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. So again, happy to do another tribute to Michelle's mother, her role model in her life. And again, this was just another fun list in her honor.
Yeah, and it was nice that she inspired another topic for us.
She inspires us every single day. All right, there's so many great Disney role models. It was fun to go through just a few of them. I'm sure there's so many more that we didn't even touch on out there. There are many of them in many, many great films. Also, some really, really terrible role models out there. Elsa's parents. Let's get to the Disney Stories of the Week, because I got a lot of ground to cover on the Disney Stories of the Week this week. And I'm going to start with receive details of Disneyland's replacement annual pass program, which is exciting for those of us out here on the West Coast. This from the Disney Parks blog. Today, they say, we are excited to share the next evolution of the Disneyland Resort annual pass program, which was informed and shaped by extensive consumer research and feedback from guests and fans. They say, we are pleased to introduce the Magic Key program. Yeah. Again, Disney going back to the keys, which is interesting. I think we're hearing a little more keys putting into the vernacular within there, which is
such a foundation for them, so.
Which is kind of cool. I kind of like that.
Right.
They say it's a new guest-centric offering that will deliver choice, flexibility, and value for park admission, special access to unique experiences, valuable saving opportunities, and so much more. There will be 4 options of Magic Key passes to provide our guests, their families, with choices that fit various needs and lifestyle preferences for how they wish to visit the Disneyland Resort. So let's go through those because if you're thinking about this, there's a lot to break down here as far as what one will be right for you. So we'll start just to begin, to pay for any of these tiers, you can pay the total amount up front. If you live in California, you can go with what they've done in the past with the annual pass program, which is pay for it on a monthly basis over the year. You'll just have to make a $179 down payment on any of these passes. That's good for all of these passes. And then there's a certain amount that fills out the rest through the 12 months of that year. But again, that's only if you're a California resident can you do that. You can't be in one of the other states and want an annual pass and do that way. You will have to pay up front. At least that's what they're saying right now. We'll see if that changes. So going to these past tiers, the first one, the most expensive one, is the Dream Key. That will cost you $1,399 for the year. Not cheap. If you're a California resident, again, you can pay for it with that $179 down payment and then $102 per month after that for the 12 months. Now, here's what you get with the Dream Key. You get up to 6 park reservation holds at a time. You get 20% off select merchandise, 15% off select food and beverages, free theme park parking, which is cool. And there are absolutely no block out dates. So you are wide open anytime you want to go. When you can make a park reservation, you are good for it. So that is the ultimate. If you're looking to be as free as possible, get as many discounts as possible, that is the pass for you.
Yeah. So kind of like the platinum.
Yeah, it's pretty much the replacement of the old platinum for sure. So the next tier down is the Believe Key, and that one will cost you $949 per month, or if you're a California resident and want to pay per month. No, sorry. Thank you. $949 per year.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be really expensive for $949 per month. No, $949 per year and $65 per month if you're a California resident, again, after the initial down payment. Right. Now, that pass also will give you up to 6 park reservation holds at a time. It drops down a little bit on your discounts. 10% off select merchandise, 10% off select food and beverage, 50% off theme park parking. So you don't get free parking, but you get a little bit of a break on it. So there are blockout dates for this one, and those include the holiday time, spring break season, as well as there are actually several Saturdays that come into play in this. So if you're interested in this one, and I'm going to say this about all these tiers outside of the top one, when you don't really have, doesn't really matter. Everything's wide open. Check the calendar to know when you like to go, because there are blockout dates that you won't be able to use this pass on.
Right. And those are times too when it's super busy anyways. And so you might feel like that's not when it's necessary to go, and it's not like the parks are only decorated during those certain periods of times, whether you're talking the holiday season or whatever. There are times you can still go and see the holiday decorations.
Right. So, and sometimes you can buy a pass, if you really want to go on a Saturday that's blocked out. I mean, yes, you don't want to add on to your pass, but it might be cheaper to do one pass for one day. If it's the only time you want to do that, $949 versus $1,399. There's a gap there, $350 gap there. That's less than a 1 day ticket.
Right.
So, if you really want to do that, you can decide later on that. So just some options that are out there.
Sure.
Now, the third tier is called the Enchant Key, and that is $649 per year. I'm going to get it right this time. Or $40 per month for California residents after that down payment. Okay. With that one, you get up to 4 theme park reservation holds at a time. Just like the Believe Key, you'd get 10% off select merchandise and 10% off of select food and beverages. However, you do have to pay full price for parking with that pass. Also, this is really important with this one. You'll definitely want to check the calendar on blackout dates for this one, because there are a lot more involved with this one, including almost all of the summer of 2022. So if you're thinking about getting this one, just know, and you want to go in the summer of 2022, there's a lot of dates that are not going to be available almost the entire summer. So you may want to check that one out. Now, there is one more tier to go through, but this one is just available for Southern California residents, mostly because the only time you can visit this one, you pretty much need to live in the neighborhood, because there are no weekends open for this one on the calendar. It's only weekdays. There's even a lot of Fridays that aren't even available for you. So know that going in. However, this pass, the Imagine Key, is only $399 per year or $19 per month. Again, this is only for Southern California residents. So know that. With that one, you get up to 2 park reservation holds at a time. So not a lot, but how many do you really need at a time? Especially when you don't have a lot of dates available to you to begin with anyway. You do get 10% off select merchandise and 10% off select and food and beverages with that as well. But again, if you're thinking about this one, it is not that expensive, but please check the calendar, because it does not have a ton of dates available for you. So, but check the calendar, see what's right for you, and decide on the pass that you think is best. So they also go on to say that there are additional offerings, and benefits for those of you who end up purchasing into one of these tiers, or any one of these tiers. So they say Magic Key holders will have access to an array of special offerings and many features that we know our guests will love, such as valuable saving opportunities for merchandise and food and beverage, which we've already talked about throughout the year. You may also be able to enjoy special benefits, such as a dedicated dining experience and custom menu items at the Magic Key Terrace, which I'm thinking maybe is what they're going to rename the Alfresco Tasting Terrace, since that became kind of a pass holder place, and then a legacy pass holder place. Maybe they're going to rename that into the Magic Key Terrace. Don't know that's for sure, but that kind of makes sense with that name. They also say special offerings at our festivals just for Magic Key holders, a Magic Key holder celebration month, plus other unique surprises. They say, what's more, we will be introducing an all-new Magic Key portal on the Disneyland app to more deeply engage directly with our community of Magic Key holders in the future. So kind of a little bit sort of exclusive. We all know how many annual pass holders Disneyland has had in the past. But a little bit more exclusive group to kind of do some things and get some special perks.
Cool.
They also have this offer for you. They say for a limited time, they will celebrate the charter members that become Magic Key holders within the first 66 days as they celebrate 66 years of the Disneyland Resort.
Cool.
They say these guests will receive special welcome package that will include unique items such as a premium branded pin, celebratory button, magnet, and more. Plus, Magic Key holders who enter Disneyland parks will also be celebrated with access to a limited time experience at Starcade in Tomorrowland, which begins on September 1st, where they can enjoy charging stations, a special photo op, and other fun surprises. So, couple things if you want to join in early into this grouping. If you're thinking about it at all, why you might want to get it done within that first 66 days.
Makes sense.
Yes. So, and now if you're planning on purchasing a Magic Key Pass, that you'll be able to do that beginning on August 25th, 2021. They'll start those up no earlier than 10 a.m. Pacific time is what they say. So basically just plan it on 10 a.m. Pacific time. They say guests will be able to purchase their preferred Magic Key Pass type and their first opportunity to unlock a visit to Disney Park or Disney California Adventure Park will be that same day. So you can buy that pass that morning and you can go to the park that day if you want to, once you make the reservation, of course, after you have that pass. You can purchase their Magic Key Pass through Disneyland.com or through the Disneyland app. So there you go. If you're interested,
pretty cool.
It's coming up here in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You have a chance to get
soon.
a regular entrance back into the Disneyland Resort.
Right.
So cool stuff. So speaking of Disneyland, it's another week. So we have, of course, have more Disneyland dining options that are returning soon to the Disneyland Resort. Yeah, so let's get back to the Disney Parks blog. They say, we are excited to announce the Disney Princess Breakfast Adventures at Napa Rose will begin to be again delighting kids and adults like me with everyone's favorite Disney princesses. They will also have some more restaurants I'm going to get to in a second. But first, back to that Disney Princess Breakfast Adventures at the Napa Rose. It will be opening up at the Grand California Hotel and Spa on August 26th. So right after those passes go on. So, and you'll be able to book those beginning this week on August 11th if you're looking to do that. And that will be, they will have the princesses there is what they're saying. You'll enter into the place and they will be out on a terrace where you can get a private patio, not a terrace, private patio where you can get a photo opportunity with them and then go in for the brunch style menu that they will have there, which sounds spectacular.
Sure.
So if you're interested in that. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful location too.
Yeah. So, and, again, while the character dining is different right now, it still is one of the best places to get a lot of characters in an easy way for your little ones or big ones if you're interested in seeing a lot of characters, especially the princesses, which can be tough to do. There are long queues to see the princesses, and especially now you don't really have the opportunities except for like the cavalcades and stuff to really see them.
Exactly. So.
Yeah. Moving on. All you explorers and adventurers will be thrilled to know that Trader Sam's Enchanted Tiki Bar will now start taking reservations for lunch and dinner. That's beginning on August 11th. So this week, with the first reservation date being on August 15th. So if you found it tough to get into the Trader Sam's, reservations now might be available for you. So that might be an easy way to ensure if you really want to do Trader Sam's, but you can ensure you can get in there during your trip, your visit, your vacation, whatever it might be. Also moving on, Carnation Cafe at Disneyland Park will be opening on September 16th. Yeah, with its classic comfort food like Mickey waffles for breakfast and for lunch and dinner, of course. You can get your Mickey waffles all times of the day at the Carnation Cafe. Yep, which is always good. And of course, you can also get some of Walt's chili there or their fried chicken, which is really, really good there as well. Other fantastic all-you-can-enjoy breakfast and dinner buffets will be opening, including Goofy's Kitchen will begin welcoming guests back starting on August 18th with reservations open for booking on August 11th. But different from what Goofy's Kitchen has been in the past, this will not be a character experience to begin with. So know that going in. If you want to book there, it's going to be the meals, but it will not be the characters this time.
Right, and that one's at the Disneyland Hotel.
That one is at the Disneyland Hotel, correct. Now, if you want to have a character experience, within the parks. Well, guess what's coming back?
What?
Minnie and Friends Breakfast in the Park, one of our favorites.
Yes.
It's going to be back at the Plaza Inn. The All You Care to Enjoy buffet at Plaza Inn will be reopening on August 12th, so this week, with bookings available on August 11th. So you can book it on the 11th and go on the 12th. And you can join Minnie and some of her favorite Disney pals while dining on hearty breakfast classics like made-to-order omelets and Mickey waffles, French toast, scrambled eggs, bacon, sausage, biscuits, and gravy. So much good food there. That is a great parks morning way to kick off your start at Disneyland Park for sure. That breakfast at the classic Plaza Inn with great characters, it's really enjoyable.
It is, and it's one of those buildings that you tend to, well, one, it's kind of set back, so you don't even know it, you don't see much of it. But if you go in there, there's so many really intricate, unique decor items in there. And if you look on Disney Plus with some of the more historical shows that they have there, where Walt is describing that, and that his wife had a lot of input into the decor, it's really kind of a special place.
Yeah, I especially if you have not been to Disneyland ever, and you're planning a vacation out there, doing this breakfast, one, to get you into you can get into the park a little bit earlier to do this breakfast. If you book an early breakfast, you can sometimes don't quote me on this, but it has been that way in the past, that you can get in there a little bit earlier, have your breakfast with the characters, get all those pictures, have a wonderful breakfast there. And then, you might even be able to get to some of the attractions a little bit earlier than rope drop because of it. So, but it's just a great way to kick off a day in Disneyland Park. I highly recommend it. Like you said, it's one of the original locations there within Disneyland. So it's got that history. It's got that nostalgia. It's just a wonderful, wonderful place.
Exactly.
Yeah. So highly recommend that. So, so that's some more dining reservation or dining locations coming back. And that's, again, fantastic news. Every week we seem to have more and more reopening, and we're happy to share those with you. Now, speaking of a place that we're really happy will be opening in spring of 2022, we received a ton of details this week about the new Star Wars immersive hotel experience that is coming to the Walt Disney World Resort, including pricing, which came as a shock to many people. I don't know why it came as a shock to so many people, but it did come as a shock to some people. But let's get to it, because there were a lot of interesting information about this this immersive, super immersive thing that's going to be happening here starting next year. And this is from the Walt Disney World website. They say, Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser is a revolutionary 2-night experience where you are the hero. You and your group will embark on a first of its kind Star Wars adventure that's your own. So you know, I don't know if you remember as a kid, those choose your own adventure books where you would go and you would get to a page and it'd give you a choice, and then you make a selection, and then you go and they tell you to skip to this page if you go this way, or skip to another page going this way. That is going to be basically real life in Star Wars here, when you're going to be choosing things, and things are going to happen around you from what it sounds like within this experience. Right.
I mean, you kind of see that too, like in video games, right? You can get to make choices, and your experience is different based on the choices that you select. So, the more you put into it, the more you'll experience.
Look at me going back to this old fogey book thing,
and
like Michelle's more modern, the video game stuff. Again, Michelle always totally cutting edge and on the top of things, much more topical than me. They say it's the most immersive Star Wars story ever created, one where you live a bespoke experience and journey further into Star Wars adventure than you ever dreamed possible. It seems amazing. On this website, they say Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser is like nothing else you've ever experienced. Part live immersive theater, part themed environment, part culinary extravaganza, part real life role-playing game, and yet so much more. It just seems so cool, and just something that we have to do at some point somehow. Right. If we start saving every single penny we have right now. They say, as just kind of describing how this goes, is as the airlock slides open, your world changes. Step off the launch pod and into your own epic Star Wars story, one where you decide your fate. While your Star Wars story unfolds, you'll have the power to choose your path, Will you follow the role of the First Order or join the Resistance in a secret plot? Strike a bargain with a gang of smugglers or sit back and sip a cocktail and watch it all unfold in front of you. You can take part as much apparently as you want in it, or you can just enjoy the ride and watch the show go on. But I'm telling you, when they get to the prices, like, I'm going to take part of every single thing if we're going to pay that money for this thing. Here's what's included. They say every Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser vacation package includes a 2-night stay in a well-appointed cabin or suite, meals, excluding alcoholic and specialty beverages, and the opportunity to live your Star Wars story through exclusive experiences, missions, and activities. It also includes a trip to Disney Hollywood Studios and Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. So you get to journey to Batuu, which is important, and that is a big part of it as well. Now, they did give us a sample itinerary. Now, this is just a sample. It doesn't necessarily mean what it is. Right. But I found it fascinating and something that I was like, wow, I really, really want to do this itinerary because it's so cool.
It did look cool.
Yeah. So day one, you arrive at the terminal at 1 p.m. You're on the launch pod to the Star Cruiser from 1:15 to 1:30. A ship orientation from 1:45 to 2:15. Then light refreshments, followed by sabak lessons, which, I want to get some more. I want to get better at sabak, so for sure. I love this. Muster drill. Like you're on a regular cruise ship, you get a muster drill. That's kind of cool. Followed by the captain's reception, which is a lot of fun. Then dinner featuring live music. Then they go on to an unexpected story moment, which is fun as well. Then there's some, sorry, my picture here is a little blurry, so I'm trying to figure it all out here. Some other training involved there, special atrium entertainment, and that's the wraps up day one. Then for day two, you get breakfast. Then transport to Batuu, where you'll get to ride Rise of the Resistance. Of course, I'm assuming you don't have to battle for a boarding group when you pay this much to be on this thing. Then you get a story moment actually within Batuu, apparently. So it plays part in that as well. Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, lunch at Docking Bay 7 Food and Cargo. Then transport back to the Star Cruiser just in time for lightsaber training. Oh, man. There's a droid racing competition, build a model ship, a sabak tournament, so you're going to put those lessons to use. Yep. Cocktails at the Sublight Lounge, taste around the galaxy dinner, and then another story moment, then a spectacular finale that day. Then finally, your final day will include breakfast and then launch pod back to the terminal. It just sounds wonderful. Something I want to be involved with. They say you can cosplay all you want. You can dress as you want. But if you want to deck yourself out in full costume, full regalia, you can do that. Or if you want to do that, just part. Like one day I want to deck myself out full in costume. The other day I just want to be kind of casual in shorts and a t-shirt. You can do whatever you want. It is up to you and how you want to experience this thing.
Right. It does sound so much fun. And, if you're ever cruised, it sounds so much like a cruise, how they have it all set up as well, and in your cabins, you do have great views. It's of space, but you have great views. So it all sounds, like you said, I think the word immersive is the most appropriate, but, as we were researching and looking at some other things, they're really making sure that, you have an opportunity to interact with characters in a whole different way, where it's part, like you said, part of your story, part of your activity set, of what you choose to do. So it sounds really, really impressive and amazing of an experience.
Yeah,
one of a kind.
Right. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, visiting Batuu, Black Spire Outpost, was that next level of entering the world of Star Wars. It is very immersive. It is one. This, not only does it take the next step, it takes like a light year step to what immersive is from what the sounds of this. Now, that also means a light year step in price, which I think we all knew going in. Like, we said this for months since they announced, especially knowing that they're going to have not a lot of cabins on this ship, that this was going to be a pricey thing. And yet, when they released the prices, social media lost their mind on the prices of this. And yes, they are very high. So let's get to them just to know if you're thinking about doing this, whether you should think in a different direction or whether you should start saving right now, because it's not cheap. Now, This is the starting price from. Now, they're going to be more expensive based on if you go to a suite, or there's also a captain's suite.
Or time of year.
Different times of year. So this is what they listed as the prices starting for. So if you just want to do 2 guests in a cabin, that is going to run you $4,809 for the starting price that they listed here.
Right.
So not cheap for sure, but that is the total for the voyage. If you want to do 3 guests in the cabin, which would be 2 adults and 1 child, that'd be $5,299 for the voyage. 4 guests in the cabin, which would be 3 adults and 1 child, that would be $5,999 for the voyage total. So yes, it is ridiculously crazy expensive. But again, I was surprised at how many people weren't expecting this to be a bananas, crazy, ridiculous price, knowing that there would be a lot of people who would want to do this, and there were not a lot of space in this. And it was going to be a really, really small attended event each time it happened.
Right. Well, I mean, I think if you're thinking of a hotel and saying, okay, what is the price per room, and then adding some food or some other experiences. If you're accustomed to cruising, then, yes, this would be on the high end, but it's like going to a specialty ship if you went on, some of the higher end cruise lines as well. So you kind of have to compare apples with apples. It is definitely pricey, but, we've definitely seen cruises where it's about, $1,000 to $2,000 a day per person, based on, the type of ship and time of year and cabin and what's included, whether, excursions or other activities are included, so like you said, considering it's really very tiny and small amount of rooms that, it's not like a regular hotel. So it's trying to compare it to a hotel is just inappropriate because it just doesn't. It's not that.
Yeah, it's an exclusive, high end thing that not everybody unfortunately is going to get to do. But if it was a price that was less expensive, it'd be ridiculously hard to get into there because everybody would want to do it. Now this kind of weeds out some people. Now, I wish everybody could experience it. I mean, it seems like it's going to be amazing. And eventually, maybe the price will come down some, and maybe you can eventually. And remember, these are the prices for early on. Give it a few years. Maybe the price comes down to something that you might be able to afford, and let's
just like we saw
it.
on the opening days of the Wish, the new ship, the Wish. It's much more expensive than if you say, I want to go a different time of year that's not as, a time that a lot of people are on vacation, first of all, and that it's not as new. Then they would have hopefully some different prices that would make it, cheaper.
Right. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Now, we originally thought we might go on this in its first year. I think that we're probably going to wait it out now. One, it's really expensive, and we have a ton of stuff that we already have money invested in for this year coming up. Some things we've told you about, some things we haven't told you about yet, but they're coming for you to know about eventually. But so we'll probably push this off maybe 2023, 2024.
Right.
In that meantime, will allow us to save every penny we have in the hopes that we can possibly do this, and that maybe the price will come down a little bit. But if you get a chance to book this, if you can afford it, and you get a chance to book this thing, we're going to want you on the show when it happens. So please let us know if you're going to do this thing. Again, they haven't released any booking dates as of now, but I'm sure that's coming now that more of the details out before too long.
Right. So cool.
We will see. Yeah, we have so many things coming up this year.
I know.
There's a couple of the Star Wars Celebration that we might want to try and attend, D23 Expo that we probably want to try to attend. We already booked on the Disney Wish,
Comic-Con.
We have tickets to Comic-Con. Of course, our Walt Disney World vacations, Disneyland stuff. There's a lot of stuff that we already have planned for 2023. Trying to shoehorn this in as well, especially at that price range, which, again, it's going to be tough. Even when we don't have so much stuff going on, that'd be tough. But eventually, we do want to do this, and I think we will. Scrape, take out a loan or whatever we have to do to get it done. So
Funny.
And of course, we will tell you all about it, share it with you, and you
Exactly.
can come along in a kind of a way with us. So that's it for the Disney stories of the week. However, we never leave you without giving you some sort of tip that might help you on your next vacation. And we always start with Michelle, one, because she's wonderful, gorgeous, hardworking. She plays hurt. She has done, still comes up with the best research, the best lists, and of course, the very best tips. Here is Michelle's tip of the week.
Well, thank you, sweetie. Too kind. Living up to that. Anyways, so my tip is also a little bit of a news item as well. It's not the most current thing, but so a couple weeks ago, there was a change in a process that they do at Walt Disney World. And so I wanted to bring that up as well as a tip about it. And that's related to if you are hotel hopping, in your stay at Walt Disney World. So as you know, they will move your things. You can, bring it to bell service if you're going to leave one hotel and check in at another hotel during the day. Leave it off at the place that you were staying, and they will transfer it over. What's new is they will no longer be transferring perishable food items. And perishable is kind of in the eye of the beholder of who's moving it for the most part. So anything that's like refrigerated or, open food and things like that, they don't want to transfer for you. If you have like, bottled waters, from my research, some say yes, they'll do that. Some say they won't. If you have something that you can put it in your suitcase and they're not going to go into your suitcase, they won't even know about it. That's one way to do it. But, so just if you're planning a trip and you're planning to have food items at 2 different rooms, then the tip here is plan for that. So, whether you have 2 different delivery times or dates for your vacation, or, plan that you're using up most of your items on the first part and then see what you need for the second part. But just to have that information, and because that is different than what they used to do.
Yeah. And, the items won't necessarily last in the Florida heat.
Right.
If you have some perishable things, you don't want to take that chance. So good to know that they've changed that policy a little bit, because we have used that in the past when we have gone, because we've stayed in places where we've had at least a kitchenette, or if not a full kitchen, and went between resorts and had items, food items actually shifted. Usually we have some sort of cooler bag of our own to kind of put them in, but still shifted. So it's very important to know that. But still, it also is good to know that you can have that those items delivered from some of these companies that will deliver food to you. There's several of them that will do it. And they will take them in at bell services, and they will refrigerate them for you until you pick them up. You just right now can't transfer them between different resort stays.
Exactly. So
take advantage of those services and just have them delivered to the next stay on your way, for sure. So, or just pick one of them and say, this is the one we're going to eat our meals more within it, and this is the one where we're going to eat out more often.
But if you're planning something like, if you're buying, for example, milk, rather than getting a gallon, you might go with a smaller amount and another smaller amount.
It's a good point. Michelle's tips, always the best tip. My tip this week is, we just threw a lot of numbers and pricing to Disneyland's Magic Key program at you. And before you buy into that, you have a couple of weeks to think about it. And I want you to really think about what pass or which tier, I should say, not really pass anymore. They're tiers of the Magic Key program that is right for you, because the benefits are, as you heard, are quite different. And some things may be better for you depending on how you attend the parks, how often you go, when you like to go. Do you enjoy going on the weekends? Do you prefer to go on weekdays? Do you like being there for holiday time? Can you only get there, take visits to the parks when your kids are out of school, essentially for long periods of time? These things are all going to weigh on you. So the first thing you're going to want to look at is that calendar and decide what dates you may want to go that are available for you. Also, how often do you go to the parks? Do you go a lot of times during the year? Do you only go a few times during the year? Are they weekdays, for example, and you only go, a select amount of times? Then maybe something that's a lower pass might go.
Right.
You know what? You may actually, when it's all said and done, decide the passes aren't right for me. I can just go and buy tickets, and especially when they offer some of these discount pricing tickets, which we took advantage of, that might help you as well. Don't forget, also weigh into the account that where your discounts are. Are you someone who likes to eat a lot in the parks? Are you someone who walks away with a souvenir virtually every time you go to the parks?
Right.
Know what those discounts are and how those might affect you as well. Also check and see if there are other things that might also give you a similar discount. Like, do you have a Disney Chase Visa?
Right.
Are you a DVC member?
Exactly.
You may get those discounts from that. That would be the same as having one of those passes. So maybe you don't need those. Also, even D23 Gold members sometimes get some discounts involved with this. Check on their website and see what they offer you discounts for. Anyway, what I'm just saying for you is maybe the highest price one is right for you. Maybe not. Do the math. Figure out what's right for you, what is valuable to you, and then you decide and purchase what is best for you. And by the way, another thing I'm going to suggest to you, if you're kind of in between passes, what I would suggest going on is going to the lower tiered one to begin with. Because I'm assuming that this is what's going to be true in the past. It's much easier to upgrade later than to downgrade. I don't think you can downgrade a pass. But however, if you buy that, whatever tier pass, it's a little bit lower, and later on you decide, you know what, I really want to go on Saturdays, or I really want to be there for the holiday time this year, or spring break, or whatever. You can go to guest services, you can go to the ticket booth and say, I want to upgrade the pass. They'll just charge you the little bit extra. And boom, there you have that upgraded pass, and you go on those dates that you're looking for. So I always suggest starting lower and upgrading if necessary.
Yeah, makes sense.
Rather than going for the high one, not using it as much as you expected you would, and then you're kicking yourself for why you paid so much money when you could have gone for the lower tier pass.
That's a very good point.
So that's it for this week. Next week, well, we're another month closer to Walt Disney World's October 1st 50th birthday celebration. So that means it's time for another of Michelle's excellent deep dives into the history of the most magical place on Earth. So tell us, Michelle, what will part 5 of this series be all about next week?
Okay, so the title of the episode will be The Wonderful World of Color.
What could that relate to?
Yeah, so we're going to talk all about kind of like the history of a lot of the festivals, the different parades and castle colors and fireworks shows and things like that. Things that, really brought more life to the parks.
Interesting stuff. I can't wait to hear what you come up with, because I always learn something new from Michelle's deep dives into these things. So that'll be fun. Part 5 of our series, counting down to Walt Disney World's 50th birthday. This one, The Wonderful World of Color. I love that. So looking forward to that next week. And we appreciate that you joined us today. In the future, you can find us most everywhere you get podcasts. However, the very best place to find us is on our own website, HyperionAdventuresPodcast.com. And while you're there,
we'd really appreciate it if you sign up for our newsletter.
Please sign up for the newsletter. Just another way to be involved with the Hyperion Adventures podcast world. Another great way is to follow us on social media. We're on Twitter at Hyperion Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. Please join our Facebook group, the Hyperion Adventurers Facebook group, where we're having a lot of great times with a lot of our members there. We are also on YouTube. Just do a quick search for Hyperion Adventures Podcast. Hit subscribe, and you'll know whenever we have a new video. And if you ever want to contact us for any reason, please hit us up at our Gmail account, HyperionAdventuresPodcast@gmail.com.
Great. We love hearing from you, and let us know if you have any questions.
Yeah, and please tell a friend about our show.
Yes.
The best way to get knowledge of this show out there into the community is just sharing with your friends that you enjoy the show and you think that they will as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's it. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Hyperion Adventures podcast. We look forward to sharing some time with you again next week. Until that time, I'm Tom.
I'm Michelle.
And we hope that you have a magical week.
Bye.